you're not a walleye fisherman if you don't know that having a jig in your arsenal is by far the best thing to have. Most walleye fishermen have, between hundreds, if not thousands, of jigs in their arsenal. Today, what I'm going to do is just a quick little overview of why I choose a certain jig and why I pretty much only use them from now on. And I'll tell you why. There's hundreds of makers out there, obviously. The biggest ones you'll see Northland, VMC, and thousands of others, like custom-made jigs. But by far, without a doubt, the best that I've ever seen and used is the VMC Moon Eye jig. VMC is owned by Rapala. Obviously, it's going to be good quality. The reason why this works so well is the aspirin-shaped head on it. This allows when you're jigging the jig up and it falls back down to the bottom, it's actually going to swim down. This gives that bait or that artificial lure just a little bit more action as it's crashing back down to the bottom. That makes it way better. It just triggers the strikes that much more. Another reason, obviously, the hook on these things are just phenomenal. Between the longer shank and just the point on these things, I've rarely ever lost walleye. Rarely ever, unless I'm getting short struck on the back. It's about the only time I've honestly ever missed a hookup with a walleye. They love these things, and they work so darn well, and that's what I truly love about them. Lastly, the holographic eye on them. Most jigs, they're painted on, white with a little blotch of black to resemble an eye. These things actually have that holographic little kick to them. I really truly believe, especially when you're fishing at night, that little bit of extra flash from this thing really does turn them on quite a bit. Now, I've only ever missed a few walleye on a VMC jig, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second here. But for me, I'm a huge river fisherman, primarily the St. Clair River and the Detroit River. And in those rivers with the heavy current, you're going to really need from a minimum 3/4 ounce jig head just to get down to the bottom and stay vertical so you can feel your jig. Now, VMC came out with a 1 ounce or up to 1 ounce jig head this last year, and of course I had to try it. I'm a huge VMC fan, obviously you can tell, and when I went out and tried it, my hookup percentage actually went up from all the river jigs that I used to use. The river jigs I used to use, obviously they're heavier, but the shanks were a little bit thicker, and the reason why it worked but it didn't, the walleye obviously have such a strong jaw that you got to get a good enough hook through there, but with the thicker hook, what it does is it opens that little area that you hook them that much more. And now having a 1 ounce to 3/4 jig head, when they whip their head, it gives that counterweight that much more surface area to fall back through and end up losing that fish on the way up. So obviously that's a no-no. Have yet to miss a fish on this whole year. All of my jigging, never missed a fish with the VMC, so just a little credit to that. This is one of my favorite river colors. This is just the glow, and I'll show you why it just flat out kills everybody. It's a dark day today, so I got my little office light on here, and I'll show you how much this thing just glows. It's insane, and this thing will keep glowing for a while, like some of the longest I've ever seen any jig. So VMC, without a doubt, the best jig I've ever used. I hardly ever reach for anything anymore, especially now that they came out with a 3/4 and a 1 ounce. I'm going to be loading up this year without a doubt, and probably all my other stuff is just going to be sitting in my tackle box in case I burn through all of these on a bunch of different rocks or something. But VMC is basically all I use from now on. They're just the best. They're simply the best design, and they just flat out catch fish and they stick fish. The only time, so we're going to talk about that. The only time I ever missed a fish, it was one night on the St. Clair River, late May. Man, I'll tell you what, is some of the best walleye fishing in the entire world. I mean, I've been out nights where I've caught over 100 walleye in a night. And the reason why is they are just getting done spawning, and they are hungry, and there are billions of little minnows that crash that shoreline, and that's all they're doing. They're out there all night feasting on those things. So there was a week where I went on a few nights in a row, and I was up over the 200 limit, or 200 mark, not limit, didn't keep them all, it was all catch and release. But it was one night. I got there at 8 p.m. and I stayed till 5 a.m. And I was over 100 fish at this point, and I kept getting short struck. I thought, where they were just nipping at the back, and I was like, "What is going on, man? Why am I not hooking up with these things?" And I finally turned my headlight on, and because I was catching them like crazy all before that, and I realized that my hook was gone. The end of it fell off from just catching so many fish, and it's just one of those testaments that this jig head, I'm gonna keep it forever just because it's so cool. This thing caught me over 200 fish without a doubt. It's got walleye teeth marks on the holographic eye there. The hook is cut off just from catching so many fish. And that was honestly the only time ever with a VMC product that I was missing fish, and that's because obviously the end there was not on. So just a hats off to VMC products. I mean, obviously made by Rapala, so it's a good product, without a doubt. So if I can give any recommendation, and if you're looking for jigs to stock up on, VMC all day long. They're just the best, flat out, hands down. They will catch you the most fish. They have the best action and the best hooks on the market. So hope that brought a little bit of value to you. We will see you in the coming days. Who knows? Something pops into my mind and I want to share it with you guys. So tight lines out there. If you can do me 2 favorites here on this YouTube channel, smash that subscribe button. I do this for free for you guys, but obviously a little bit of subscriptions keeps me motivated to keep providing value to you guys, as well as if you can just give it a thumbs up if you like it, if it provided any value for you. So I will see you guys on the flip side. Tight lines out there. Let's catch some eyes. We'll see you guys.